All righty, now to, uh-oh. Hi, Joyce, thanks for joining us. Hi, everyone. I am just getting my screen up for some odd reason. Wait a second here.
Have to click on it and then come back to Zoom and then do share screen, and the window will be top left.
Okay, click on it, come back to Zoom, share screen, and the window will pop up. Yes. And then I share it there.
Yep.
And are you seeing it?
Yes.
And now it's full screen?
Not yet.
Maybe if I've
You have to put it in presentation mode, and it might change your screen orientation if you're running dual screens, but it just depends on how you have your setup.
Yeah.
Did that work?
Nope. Go to slideshow. Top menu, slideshow. Slideshow.
Use slideshow.
Yep.
Did that do it?
Not yet.
Everything just see.
There it is. It's coming.
That's the full screen?
Will
All
be.
right. And
Hi, Karen.
No.
Finally, I'm here.
hey, EJ.
Yep. It's not going to do full screen for you.
Okay, let me try again. Let me do this again. 1 second.
All right.
We're going to be doing a lot of editing. All right, let me try one more time. I think I know what's going on. I think I have two versions of this open. I have it as an online link and show, and I have it as a PowerPoint. And I just lost everything. Okay, now I'm back. All right, so let's try it again. Let's do this message, goes down, video. I'm gonna put this here. Click it, and then go to, okay, click it, then go to Zoom, share screen. We've got that. And share. And full screen. Did that work?
Yep, that worked. All right, we're good.
All right. All right. Sorry about that. A little bit of technology issue there. So hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us here today as we talk about the call for energy efficiency partners with the Rappahanock Electric Cooperative as part of their Vividly Brighter Upgrades program. We've got a really great panel of speakers here with us today, and we're going to be going over different parts of the program before we hand it over to Louis O'Berry, who's joining us from Rappahanock Electric Cooperatives. Again, my name is Karen Camblin. I'm the Environmental and Climate Justice Committee Chair for the Virginia State Conference NAACP, and I'm going to go over a brief overview of the program. And then our next speaker will be EJ Scott, who is the Economic Development Chair for the Virginia State Conference NAACP. And also on this call today is Andrea Miller, founder of Center for Common Ground, who's going to be going over the client member benefits. Not only is she part of the energy justice sector, but she's also a resident within the Rappahannock Electric Cooperative Service area. And then we have two amazing speakers, Frank Mosley with SEED and Richard Walker from Bridging the Gap in Virginia, who are going to talk about a few things in terms of the benefits to the contractors and the local businesses here in Virginia. Then we'll see a brief video that was developed by Rappahanock Electric about the program. And then we're going to hear from Louis O'Berry, and then we're going to open it up for question and answers. So just a brief overview. What brought us here today was Senate Bill 754, which authorized electric cooperatives to design an on-bill tariff program for residential energy efficiency measures. Rappahanock Electric is the first one of the 13 electric cooperatives in Virginia that will be providing and implementing and bringing this program online. And so what are some of the things that can be financed? The client members are going to be able to finance new heating and air conditioning system, efficient water heaters and appliances, upgrades, home installation, and new energy. So since this started in 2020, I, along with all of the different speakers that you're going to hear from us today, developed a collaborative in which we were trying to work with all of the different electric cooperatives as they're bringing their programs online to ensure energy justice, not only for the client members, but also to make sure that the program has strong consideration to the Black and minority businesses, and making sure that the opportunities, the business opportunities, are made readily available for participation for all. So now I'm going to hand it over to EJ, who's going to talk about what we did to ensure diversity was a part of this process. EJ?
Thank you very much, Karen. My apologies for being a little late, and I still am on my phone rather than on my computer because my computer would not let me get on the, so I wanted to say I am EJ Scott, and I'm the chair of the Virginia NAACP Economic Development Committee. And we have been involved in trying to expand the outreach for a number of organizations, trying to ensure that the Black community is included in these new initiatives that have come out. So this is particularly one of them. And we really want to thank the Rappahannock Development for allowing their program to expand and include some of the many suggestions that we gave them on how to do that. So with that, I hope that you all enjoy, and I hope that we have a number of people that can submit their information to the Rappahannock and become a part of this incredible energy justice forum. Thank you.
Thank you, EJ. And then we're going to hear from Miss Andrea Miller about the client member benefits. Andrea?
Thanks, Karen, and thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm Andrea Miller, and I am a Rappahanock Electric Cooperative member owner in Caroline County. For those of you who may not be familiar with REC, it is the largest rural electric cooperative in Virginia. It is probably the third largest rural electric cooperative in the country, with about 175,000 member owners. Roughly 140,000 of them are residential customers, and this program will be for the benefit of the residential customers. As many people know, if you have friends who live in older houses, many of the older houses are not that energy efficient. So even if the property does have air conditioning or heating, they're basically heating the outside in winter and cooling the outside in summer. What this program will potentially give people the ability to do is finance the cost of reinsulating their home, getting a newer upgraded HVAC system, having duct work done, getting a number of those things done so that the house they have can be made more energy efficient, and people will be able to save money on their electrical bill. This program is open to not only homeowners, but in theory also to renters. So we're accomplishing two things: lowering the electric bill, and for homeowners, actually enhancing the value of their property. And all of this will be financed directly on their electric bill. So I'm going to turn it over to, I don't know who wants to go first, Mr. Frank Mosley of Seed for All, followed by Richard Walker of Bridging the Gap, two of our contractors. Oh, Frank had to come back in. Frank, you're up. Frank.
Sorry, I just got back. I had a battery snafu here. Good evening, everyone. My name is Frank Mosley II. I am the founder and director of Seed for All. We are a nonprofit organization that works with organizations across the state to try to ensure that underserved communities have opportunities and access to training material, resources, and investment opportunities. One of the things that we have been working on as part of this coalition, this collaboratory effort, is ensuring that pathways for opportunities for employment as for minority contractors and business owners who are often left out of the bidding process or the selection process when some of these opportunities come about. We are very passionate about ensuring that we have inclusiveness and that there is diversity in these selection processes. And we want to make sure that our contractors know about these things that are going on. Sometimes these great opportunities slide right by and they don't have the chance to even get into the race, throw their hat into the race, let alone be able to secure one of these contracts. So we're here hoping that by working together and by being able to shine more light and emphasis on these opportunities for our contractors, that more inclusiveness will be seen here in this process, and that more opportunities for our contractors to build their business, grow their businesses, and sustain themselves will be a byproduct and a benefit of this opportunity. So thank you very much for having us.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Richard Walker. I'm the founder and CEO of Bridging the Gap in Virginia. We primarily work with formerly and currently incarcerated convicted felons, as well as provide energy efficiency, renewable energy careers for individuals that they too may be represented. You know, I'm real big, as everyone else said, on diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know, and I truly believe with the REC program that they would look at the minority contractors throughout the state of and Commonwealth of Virginia. We have prepared a data bank of several contractors that we hope to be submitting to REC, that they will be in that selection process to obtain some of those contracts. You know, REC is functioning in 22 different counties throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia. And as this initial rollout takes place, we want to be a part of that. We want minority contractors to have their hands in the niche that they also can get those contracts to move forward. You know, we've been well aware of the training, the announcements, and all that is encumbered with this rollout. but we want to make sure that the minority contractors are considered in the initial rollout of the project, that they have equal access as well as being able to show their worth or be at the table in the selection process. So we're kind of excited about this. We're looking forward to this, and we're going with the confidence of believing that REC is going to do the right thing, because they have indulged us all the way through the process. So we're feeling confident that they will consider what we submit, as well as those contractors that we're looking forward to jump in the mix on being able to provide energy efficiency, HVAC, electrical, whatever the needs are to help the member owners of the REC network. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. And now we have a brief video that was developed by REC, and hopefully, is it showing, or do I have to stop and reshare?
We don't see the video yet. So if that's the link, you can click on the link.
I did, but it opened the window outside of this screen.
Then you're going to need to do click on that window and then do a new share.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Uh-oh. Oh. Okay. And then click on share.
Karen, they've got me set up as a co-host. I've got it ready to share. There you go.
Great.
There we got it. I was working on a backup just in case.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello.
I'm going to turn my volume down.
Lewis Services. We would like to take a few moments to introduce Vividly Brighter upgrades and extend an invite for contractors to partner with us in the energy efficiency program for our residential member. REC will be the first cooperative in Virginia to implement an on-bill tariff program. What does on-bill tariff mean? Primarily, it provides a pathway for improvements for energy performance in the home. It increases the member service reliability, resiliency, and helps lower members' electric bills. REC will make the upfront investment and recover the cost over time through the tariff on the monthly bill. These upgrades will be coupled. Here are some member benefits just to name one. Upgrades provides an all-inclusive path for energy savings for qualified homes with no income restrictions. The installments are paid back to REC over a 10-year period. The member is capturing the benefits and savings over time by paying less every month because of the upgrades, and most importantly, increased comfort and health in the home. The upgrades program utilizes a proven energy model facilitated by our chosen third party. REC will work to identify and upgrade energy-intense homes through that modeling structure. The average project will range from $3,000 to $10,000 for both weatherization and HVAC work in the project. So you might ask, how does the scope of work get formalized? It happens through a diagnostic audit process by REC. We will conduct a blower door test, duct blaster, and other measures to gather data and report that data back to our third-party implementer. A customized prescriptive menu known as the Easy Plan will be created and presented to the member. Then, the trade allies will be deployed based on specific customized scopes of work. The work will be verified and tested by the contractors performing the work, and REC will be with you every step of the way. Our members need you. We are looking for weatherization specialists for insulation, air sealing, and HVAC contractors for system replacements, retrofits, and duct system improvements. If you serve areas within our territory and are ready to become an energy efficiency partner, this is a prime opportunity for energy work. Our trade ally requirements are aligned with industry standards for licensure and insurance. Here are a few off the top. You must be licensed and insured. You must serve within REC's territory and be familiar with performance contracting and respective fields. Some other requirements include agreeing to in-person training, use of mobile app and software to facilitate and operate the program, provide timely response to our members, agree to fixed schedule and negotiated pricing structures, and provide 3-year maintenance post the upgrade. Here are some next steps for the meeting. Coming up early June of 2022, we'll have a half-day virtual orientation session. We'll begin contract negotiations with REC. Job pricing negotiations will continue. We'll provide comprehensive training and be prepared for program launch by July 6th. So you may ask yourself, what do I need to do now? Please use the link in the REC program webpage to express interest or email Energy Efficiency Program at myrec.co. Thank you for taking the time to listen in, and we look forward to partnering with you.
Yay.
So I guess I'm not going to go back to the PowerPoint. We can just go straight to you, Louis, if that's okay.
Sure. I hope everybody could hear it okay. The audio was a little bit muffled on my end. I'm not sure if you were sharing your computer audio or if you were sharing it from an external speaker, but sometimes that can weigh in on it a little bit. I'll be glad to answer any questions. I mean, as far as the contractor network is concerned, that's going to be a continued effort post-launch. There may be some launch constraints that we've already identified and putting some mitigation measures in place. And there'll be some pockets and areas within the territory or even sections of the territory due to not having contractor support in those areas in the initial launch. The initial launch is less than 40 days away, or around 40 or so days away. So we're definitely in crunch time. And the first orientation for contractors is going to happen late next week. I'm actually working on the material with the utility or with our third-party implementer that many of you here already are aware of who that is and what they do. But we're actually in the process of going through that, and I'm developing the training and getting that in line for both outward-facing organizations, all contractors and everybody involved, including our internal communications and internal training for our personnel that'll be touching the program in different places. So we've been talking about the program quite a bit internally, but there's some formalization of some workflows and some different things that we've been doing. So it's all hands on deck. I know that's kind of a loose term to use in utility world, because when we say all hands on deck, it's really bad, but this is actually really good. And we're looking forward to meeting our launch date on the 6th. No matter what size the program initially launches at, but we anticipate it to grow significantly over time, and we need your help to do that. Contracting, as far as the requirements, I mean, I talked about it at a high level on that one slide, but it's pretty basic. I mean, we do have some limits on the utility places some limits on liability. So there's some, you may have to ramp up your insurance a little bit for some of the sole proprietors that may not have quite that level of coverage, but there are some base minimums, and we'll go over all of that in the orientation. I'll be glad to kind of share a little bit of that with you all this evening if you want to kind of get an idea. The nice thing about this program is this, going into it, many utility prescriptive type programs, even if you look at others like IOUs, or even everybody's familiar with the many programs that Dominion offers in Virginia, and we'll just use that as a kind of a proxy because we're familiar with Dominion and APCO and some of the other utility programs that both have specifics for both low income and market rate energy efficiency programs.
I can hear it right here.
So when we look at that, that's the beauty of this program, is that it's income agnostic. So it parallels and runs alongside and accommodates everyone outside the limiters with the actual residents and things like that may disqualify home health and safety issues or things like that would maybe kick it back to where they have to address some things before they can enter the program. But all in all, the nice thing about it is, from the contractor side, as codes evolve and things are changing in this code cycle quite a bit with what contractors are required to do to test out a new house or to test out their work when they're performing work inside of a home. But the nice thing about it is that we carry the accreditation on the front end to do the initial data collection. So all the BPI certifications and things like that are held by our staff. Not necessarily 100% required. It's a bonus if you have it, but it's not required to engage in this program. So it gives you the ability to kind work into the program, get used to doing the work, get familiar with the equipment. It will require the contractor to own a blower door and own some of the test equipment, because the contractor's actually, is doing the actual performing the test out. So it's used really as a comparison to make sure that it's aligning with the initial test in. We're hitting the targets that the easy plan was trying to deliver. So we're it's called an active air seal. So we're air sealing while we're running the blower door, and you stop when you get to that point where where the prescriptive measures have called for. So works a little bit different than some of the rebate programs or the HEA from Dominion, where you're actually having the customers paying for the upfront audit, and then they're having to seek the work, and they get the rebates back from Dominion. It's just a lot different in how the contractor involvement is. And it makes it easier for contractors that one may not quite be as familiar with energy efficiency work, but they have the ability, they know how to properly insulate, they know how to properly air seal, they know how to do they're familiar with their trade in HVAC, and it gives them an ability to kind of, learn more about performance contracting and expand their business model a little bit to what the future is actually probably holding for us in Virginia when it comes to standards of work. So this is kind of a primer, if you will, for that, as codes are changing. And I think it leaves a lot of opportunity for contractors that not necessarily have to have every single credential to perform the work. They just need to be involved in their trade. They need to know their work and have the ability to do the work well and under the prescriptive measures of the actual program. So it's more, having the licensure and the insurance requirements and the scope of work, the understanding of the scope of work and the ability to do it. And that's it. And we kind of, we're with you every step of the way on that. So it's a really good opportunity for folks to get into a side of the business that's definitely going to become more prevalent in Virginia as time goes on. So we're excited about it. We're hoping that we're looking forward to seeing your list. We've got a very small handful. Like I said, registration or contractor interest will be an ongoing effort. Recruitment will be an ongoing effort. Onboarding will be a constant effort. So if somebody feels like they weren't ready right now, but they're ready 3 months from now, absolutely. Just all you have to do is reach out, let us know you're interested, and we'll put together a package and we'll start having some conversation around participating in the program. So it's not like your typical programs where it's one and done, or we're selecting a certain amount of contractors by preference or by just credentials or folks that are already in the mix. So we've reached out to, which is the reason why our contractor outreach was to everyone, our entire stakeholder group, all the HOAs in our territory that we had contacts for, all the local chamber of commerces that we had contacts with, and any other contacts that anybody else has provided us, whether it's just word of mouth by our members, whether it was word of mouth by our employees. So we did a lot of outreaching, and we sent a really large push that had a huge open rate. But as everybody here that's in contracting knows, that contractors are very busy right now. They got more work than they can kind of shake a stick at in most cases, and they have to take a look at things before they kind of commit. So it's we haven't gotten quite as many contractors as we'd like to see on the initial uptake, but we're working on it, and it'll be an ongoing effort. And any additional leads or contractors that you can bring forth that or think may have interest, absolutely, we'd like to engage with them.
Right. Lewis, thank you very, very much for those remarks. We've got a couple of questions, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch a poll while we and you work with and answer the questions. So let me launch the poll. All right, are you seeing my poll now? There's only 3 questions. And first question, Mark Kennedy. Go ahead and unmute, Mark. There you go.
Sure. Hi, Andrea. Hello. Thank you for inviting me to the event. Glad to be here. I'll just introduce myself. I'm Mark Kennedy. I'm with the Virginia Democratic Small Business Caucus, and I chair that for the state. What I wanted to just make sure, and I was looking at the information that Karen had sent to me, and I think EJ, but I don't have the specific information that I can disseminate to our membership. I don't see that information for Mr. O'Berry that just spoke. How would our folks reach your organization as far as email? I don't know.
I'll put 2 email addresses in the chat. In the video, there was an email address for the energy efficiency program email inbox, but either one of those would be more than sufficient to get in touch with me. I'll make sure that my contact information is in the chat, including my direct inbox as well as the energy efficiency program inbox as well.
Is that video part of that information, Mr. O'Berry?
It has that one email contact in it, and it also has so if you look back through it, you'll see it, but I'll put it in the chat just so that it's in 2 places in case there's an issue accessing the video. The video is accessible on the Vividly Brighter Upgrade site at myrec.coop.
And I guess my last question for you, as well as folks who are entry level in this business, as well as folks who are already doing this business, are all eligible to participate?
Absolutely. I mean, there'll be some, we'll ask a line of questioning, once we get past the orientation. The initial orientation is a 4-hour, 3 to 4 hour roughly orientation. That's a collaborative effort or in conjunction with our third party implementer. We'll go over the program. We'll talk about the requirements to the trade allies, insurance requirements. We'll talk about the program at kind of a high level. Give some time to answer some questions. It's kind of a warm-up round, if you will, to make sure the contractor is interested in wanting to move forward and move into contract negotiations. So another nice thing about this program is the contract negotiation portion, because a lot of programs are very prescriptive in the fact that they dictate pricing and they kind of model that out and say this is what it is no matter where you're going or what you're doing. So in our program, we have a little bit more leeway with that, but we also have to negotiate some pricing structures. So we have some autonomy in there so that one, you're profitable as a business and you're getting what you need to get, and our members are getting it at a fair price, as well as it ideally needs to work out with the prescriptive menu, so that the take rate is also comes into account there as well. So we want to make sure that the project is scoped properly, it's priced competitively, and everybody's happy. So it's not you have the ability to the contractor has the ability to kind of go off of their existing pricing structure, if you will, and it will work out any little kinks or anything in it, as we move through the contract. So that's one nice feature about it, where we want to make sure that it's fitting everybody's business model, and it's also it's there for you to be profitable as well.
And I guess my last question, just one quick follow-up, is the contractors don't have to live in the area where the work is done, but they do have to be Virginia contractors.
Well, I mean, we would be open, on the initial launch. I mean, we would prefer, obviously local contractors are great, contractors that are within our territory that have service areas that are serving counties in our area would be fine. But even contractors that are located in other parts of Virginia, if they're willing to travel and it's not cost prohibitive to the program, for the excess fees for moving, in about, because obviously there's some logistics there that have to be worked through, on their end. But we're not against it. If there's some contractors in South Richmond or Petersburg area or anywhere that's even outside of our territory, but they're willing to travel 45 miles to maybe serve, some of the southeast or southwestern part of our territories that are kind of in that the greater Richmond area, or just north of the greater Richmond area, which is where our territory starts. We kind of got some little pockets that kind of come in around Gordonsville and kind of hook back. So, I mean, there are some contractors that could be based in the Richmond area that would be willing to serve some areas like, tip into Goochland and maybe parts of Louisa, Hanover, and even further if they're willing to travel. So we're willing to negotiate that. This is not a territorial type assignment, if you will, within our area. This is just a program that we want to build a robust contractor network to where we have overlapping and plenty of coverage in, so that when our members request the program, we can execute it, and we have contractors ready to deploy. So ideally, we'd like to have 3 or 4 contractors of not too diluted, but we want to have enough contractors in each pocket of our territory eventually to serve the program well and reduce those response times and keep them within the limits of the program, and providing a service to every providing that opportunity to all the contractors that want to get on. Obviously, we can't flood it to the degree that we're not giving out work to enough of them, and they become they're not used to doing the work anymore. It's kind of fell off the radar a little bit. So we don't want to dilute it too much, but we also knowing that you'll have some contractors that will leave the program for whatever reason, it doesn't fit anymore, they've lost some personnel. We always want to be ready to onboard additional contractors and monitor those contractors throughout the process. But they don't have to be. They can be entry level as long as they're proficient in the work and can provide some references and things like that. During the contract negotiations, that's not off the table at all as far as that goes.
Okay, my last quick question, I apologize. I meant to ask that at the beginning. What is the funding level and the years of this being funded, this effort?
This is we took out, many of you are probably aware of some of the federal resources that are out there. So we are doing a RESP loan or a USDA loan, and it's the member has a up to 10-year payback, but this is right now it's projected as a 5-year outlay. And if you go on our website, you can go back and look at the stakeholder meetings and look through some slides that would give you some snapshots, if you will, of all of what that outlay looks like. We're looking to serve up to 250 homes in the first year. It just depends on the time of the rollout, the amount with the contractor network. I mean, this really, honestly, any kind of program in energy efficiency hinges on the strength of the contractor network and what they're willing, what they can support. So that's one of the key ingredients and definitely a constraint on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And I dropped the note in the chat. myrec.coop is the website, and REC has approximately 140,000 residential customers across 22 Virginia counties. Frank Mosley.
Yes, Lewis. Love everything that I've heard so far.
Speak
really
louder. We can barely hear you.
You barely hear me? Okay.
Yep. Theater voice.
All right. Is this any better?
No.
I can hear you. It's just it sounds like you're a little distant, but I can still hear you.
How about now?
Oh, that's great.
Better.
Okay. All right. So, like I said, I love everything that I heard so far. Really encouraging, especially hearing about the entry level and the continuous onboarding process, giving others an opportunity to participate as well. I don't know if you know anything about Richmond, but going from the south side to the west end is 45 minutes. So I don't think any contractors would have a problem with that distance. I've been a contractor when I was my role as a contractor. I traveled hours if the money was right and if the job and the work was consistent. So good
Absolutely.
to hear that that inclusive with that crowd. Mark raised a point here that I wanted to touch on and unpack a little bit more as far as marketing material. Where can we get more marketing material to distribute to folks, whether it's the video is a great start. Anything as far as flyers or any other documentation that we can circulate would be also helpful, I think.
We will get that to you just as soon as it's available. We've been working in concert with. There's a lot going on in the next 40 days, but we're working on some basically some additional collateral. We partnered with the Brand Federation to kind of come out with a main brand, which is Vividly Brighter, and Vividly Brighter Upgrades is a sub brand under that big umbrella. So we are working on. There's a PR is very busy doing all the rebranding and getting all that marketing collateral. We've got internal and external communications that are going to start happening mid-month, pretty much, and we're working on a bifold or something that we can pass out, so you can have something in your hands about the program itself. We kind of need two pieces, one for contractor recruitment and one for, outward facing for the member. Because that's pretty much two very, different pieces of communication, but we are working on that. The collateral is actually being made as we speak, and it's definitely coming, and we will make sure that you have all that you need to distribute to your resources and contacts that you might have, Frank.
Good.
I just dropped the link in the chat, Frank, for the Vividly Brighter Upgrade program.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we definitely want to help you try to fill some of those empty slots and help you build up that network and try to find some people that out of our network that we think that will be good candidates for this opportunity. One of the things that come to mind is the energy auditing piece. Many folks will have experience with weatherization and many of the other trades that you need, but energy auditing may not be something that is within their wheelhouse or something that they've had to even worry about getting certified before now. Will there be any exceptions for that as far as will they be able to just use subcontractors? Will they be able to partner with individuals that you may already have as energy auditors on your list if they do not have those in their personnel?
That's a great question, Frank. And that's one of the glories of this program. The actual contractor itself that's doing the work, even though they're using the blower door, have to become familiar with the equipment that they're using. They don't have to have the IDL or BPI certification. It's great if they have it, because then they've had some background with it and they're in there. But if there's a contractor, and I actually just spoke with a sole proprietor that one of my BPI, I attended a BPI course a long time ago in DC under AstraCore LLC, which is a gentleman named Dave Daly. And I asked him, do you have any contacts for anybody that could be in our area that's either starting up doing some energy auditing work, or that could, because I can see a need, just as you say, I can see a need where somebody that, a contractor that's very familiar and knows how to properly insulate an air seal, or knows how to properly insulate, or knows HVAC, but may not necessarily know how to use the blower door, may not necessarily know how to use the duct blaster kit to do the test out. I've actually found a resource that's kind of in the central part of our territory that doesn't mind traveling a little bit in the other counties to actually assist with that. So that is something that could be subbed if the contractor is not comfortable yet, until they become comfortable, until they have time to purchase the equipment and make those capital investments on, and build that into their new business model with this particular type of partnership. So that's the nice thing about the program. We're doing the initial audit. We have to carry the accreditation. The contractor doesn't necessarily have to have it, but I think it's a good starter round, if you will, for them to want to get it, because as we know, Virginia is going to start adopting a lot more of the energy code. I mean, just look at the last two code cycles as comparison by the last 10 years. I mean, look how far Virginia has come in even new home building within the code standards, and how much of the energy code they've actually started to adopt. I mean, this code change coming up in July requires a blower door test for every single new home. That's going to even provide additional business opportunity for contractors that just want to do testing and do energy auditing and get certified. And if you pull up I don't know if you've ever done it, but if you ever pull up the BPI.org and you look at the BPI map, if you will, of available contractors, they're all seated in Northern Virginia, Maryland, Charlottesville, and just a couple in Richmond. And unfortunately, our 22 counties, or most of those 22 counties, is that rural area in between where there just isn't that following, because Energy Star home building kind of took a tank, if you will. It's not as popular as it became, because builders just didn't push it, or they just didn't want to push it, and it just kind of left a big gap in that. So that's the nice thing about this program. It allows the contractor to get their feet wet, see if they like it. There is a standard there. There is a standard of work that has to be upheld by the third party implementer and REC as the program administrator. But they don't have to have that certification first off, which makes it so much nicer. If you would compare it to a direct comparison, really, Frank, and you're familiar with it, would be like the WAP network. I mean, that's just a maze of, you're not going to get in unless you're already in that network, unless you're already enthralled in it and you have gone through that rigorous amount of training. It takes them 6 months to a year to onboard a subcontractor. Once they even find one that they want to engage with, however that process is. And I'm not 100% familiar with how they do their recruitment. I know, DHCD does it at their level for their territories, but each agency does their own recruiting to some degree, and it's pretty rigorous. And this program provides the same type of measures, and there is a standard, but it's not built out the same way. It's not territorial. It's not income restricted. It's not. It doesn't make the contractor have to go through the 10th ring of here to next year to try to participate in the program. If they know their trade and they're credentialed and they're licensed and insured and can meet the minimum requirements for that end of it, and they're willing to learn that, they can jump in as soon as they're ready.
We've got two more questions, so let's get Richard in, followed by EJ.
Louis, thanks for presentation, answering a lot of questions. Let me ask specifically, has REC identified a specific territory that they're initiating the first beginning rollout? And if so, how many contractors you need for that to happen? And the third part of that is, are there any minority contractors in that loop for that initial rollout?
Not as of yet that I'm aware of. Now, they may be minority owned on, I don't know. We didn't ask for that demographic specifically when we did the outreach. We just said, if you're interested, send us we haven't really interviewed them to that level in the questionnaire. But we've got just one weatherization contractor that has some interest, and a handful of HVAC contractors that are kind of scattered throughout the region. It just depends on what it looks like as we move into late June, post the actual orientation, because the orientation is really doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to want to engage. They're going to sit through that. They're going to see if this fits and if it works for them, and they want to move forward in the negotiations. So we might end up with a much smaller number. We may end up with 50% of who was interested. So we definitely want to continue that recruitment. We think that there's a chance that we may be able to. We would like to launch in as many areas as possible. Right now, it looks like today, and it's a moving target. Richard, that, but right now it looks like maybe the southwestern to like the Culpeper, Orange, Louisa area is kind of where we're kind of looking where it might go. Now, that's not quite where we have necessarily identified where the most energy intensity is in our territory by demographic, but by analytics. But it doesn't necessarily mean, there's still a need throughout the entire territory. We want to be able to launch everywhere that we can on July 6th, and we want to continue to build that out as much as possible moving forward, because there are some standards from our third-party implementer for us as well. There's some quotas and some targets there as well. So it's not I don't have as much as we want, but we definitely had a big open rate. A 48% open rate on an email push is by the numbers is if anybody does that on a regular basis, that's a really high open rate for an email. So I'm hoping that interest will start to come on in.
One other question. Is there anything down the pipeline with REC of a partnership with Dominion on their what is they call it? Their Bright Suite residential solar program?
I actually met with the folks that actually operate Bright Suite. I just wanted to get some background on it. I know it's now stood up in Virginia. It's a very high energy and resource intensive program. Dominion subs that out to, they're kind of Dominion employees, but they're Bright Suite employees, and that's essentially a concierge service. Right now, I think with the bandwidth where we are with standing up this program and the FTEs that we had to support that program, I think it'll be some time before we potentially offer a concierge service like what they're doing with Bright Suite. But it definitely it's robust, and I'm not saying that we won't come to the table with a concierge turnkey solar, but right now we feel like it fits pretty well, being our members' advocate as much as possible on the front end, assisting them along the way as they move through the net metering process to the time that they get their bidirectional meter. So
Yeah.
I think it's coming. I think something of that nature is coming. Along with other expansions of programs from DERs. I mean, ideally, with on-bill tariff, Richard, I would like to see the legislation change to where it's more of a deemed energy savings versus electric savings, because that would open up the door for to utilize on-bill tariff as a mechanism to support those types of renewable resources, installations, and different things like that. So hopefully that will change over time, and it will, spin off into more opportunities for on-bill tariff. But right now, between this program and our current process for net metering, I think we probably won't delve into something as big as what they're doing with Bright Suite. That's a very expensive, very robust, very resource intensive program.
Yeah, and my organization was selected as one of the contractors for that program.
Good.
All right, to install solar. I train individuals on how to install solar, and then we've created our own work crews that we can also bid on those solar contracts, whether it be residential, commercial, or utility scale.
Yeah, they're doing it. They're doing it at all three levels, not just residential. It's residential, light commercial, and utility scale solar. I think with Bright Suite, or is it just light commercial? I was thinking it was just light commercial.
But the problem I have with them, and I hope that doesn't happen with REC, they changed the scope in the middle of the game.
Oh, wow.
So they gave us a price quote on what we're doing as far as the installation, but then they wanted us to do shadow forecasting. They wanted us to do some other stuff that came in after the fact. They wanted us to do design. They wanted us to do, all of the roofing stuff. But that wasn't the initial agreement when they start. And I'm just believing with all confidence that REC is not going to have that issue, right?
No, I mean, the program, as prescriptive as the program is, I mean, once we sign a contract with a trade ally, we've negotiated pricing up front. This is what you're going to charge for a 3-ton heat pump replacement. This is what you're going to charge to seal a duct system. It's got to be nickel thick mastic and meet all the requirements of the program. You're going to do X, Y, and Z. And when that menu comes back to the member, they agree with it. The contractor deploys. There's no questions asked. You already know what you're charging that. And that doesn't mean that there can't be a change order in the middle of it because something came up or it just gets addressed then. But the scope of work is just that. It's the scope that's being prescribed to. And, in some cases, that's why the pricing is kind of critical. We don't want to price ourselves out of the job no more than you do. So we want to make sure that it's competitive, one, for the member's sake, really, at the end of the day, because this is all about the member. This isn't about, REC, this is just, we're just trying to support a program, operate the program, and provide a pathway for energy efficiency for our membership. So, when we're looking at that pricing structure, we want it to be competitive. We want it to be, viable for you. If you're having to travel 3 counties over and you can't do it for that, then we have to work through that. And if it doesn't work out, then we have to maybe deploy a different contractor in that one specific area. It doesn't mean you're not going to participate in other areas that's more feasible for you. It just means that logistically doesn't necessarily work out. So we'll map that out in the initial. All that gets worked out. We know what we're dealing with. There's a specific process for change orders or things that would change in the process after you've been deployed, after the contractor's been deployed to the home. There's places where, we may need to intervene if there's any discrepancies between what was tested in and what was tested out to make sure that we're getting on the right page, because this is all about the 80% rule and this working out for them. And, if the member doesn't take everything, they don't get any of it. So it's not like they can just pick and choose and say, I want to just insulate and air seal, but I don't want to replace my heat pump. Well, that's part of the menu. So that's part of the whole project. And that's how it gets prescribed. There may be an upfront payment to the contractor for a small balance of the work. And it just really is going to depend on that, that scope of work and what it actually entails. So if that comes into play, that's another reason, if you look at it from the behind the scenes view, we really want the pricing to be as competitive as possible. We want you to come to the table with what's right for you, but we also want to be, respectable to the member, and we want it to work out to where that upfront payment doesn't increase because of the job cost itself, and it could be done at a little bit more competitive rate. So we want to make sure that it's fair for you, fair for the member, and it's fair to the plan, and reduces the chance of that upfront payment and increases the take rate on the program, because that's what it's all about. We want them to get the measures, and we want it to work out for them. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Thank you, Mark, and then Karen. And I think, Karen, you're going to be our last question.
You skipped over me.
EJ,
Your hand was down. All right, so it's EJ, Mark, and then Karen. So EJ, go ahead.
All right.
Well, thank you. A couple of my questions were answered, but I did wanted to say that on the email that we sent out, there were some links that would help you get some other things, other information that you might need. Also, the video, we'll be posting that video on our respective websites. So you'll be able to see that there. And of course, Mark, we're happy to share that with you to send out to your membership. One of the things, Louis, is that you all have been in business for a very long time. And so I'm sure that you have a number of contractors that you've interacted with in the past. I'm wondering how our new diverse group of Black and other contractors will be put into that group and hopefully integrated equally rather than some previous favoritism or something. So
Absolutely, it'll be equal opportunity there. It's going to take a pretty good number of contractors to serve 22 counties in our territory, and it's going to take a diverse and fairly large network to support that. A lot of the cooperatives in other states that have stood up programs similar to this are much smaller. They have a much smaller member base. They're controlling it with they're managing it with 2 or 3 contractors, and then one will fall off, and then they'll have to do a little recruitment again, or something will change with it, or a contractor's not performing up to par and they have to be removed from the program, and somebody else is onboarded. So there'll be equal opportunity there. I mean, we've communicated it just by virtue to people that we already know. We haven't really vetted a specific network of contractors that we recommend to our membership at that level. So we haven't reviewed like a plethora of contractors that serve our territory. We have a very small few that administer our water heater repair program and water heater replacement program. That's pretty much the only contractors that we, on that end of the fence that we naturally that we've communicated with them. Some have expressed interest and some of them haven't for whatever reason. So either they're comfortable with where they are, they don't need any more work, or they're just not interested in this program, but they're good with where they are. So it's going to take all contractors from all over our area to support this program. And I assure you, there's no favoritism involved when it comes to existing contractors. I mean, we're inviting them. We're not forcing their hand to it, and we're certainly not just going to onboard them if there's somebody else that stands out above and beyond what they may already be doing. So
thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mark. Unmute.
Yep, just got to get the mouse down there. Anyway, thank you, Andrea. I missed it before, but I'm going to come back at you on this one again, Mr. O'Berry. What is the size of the program, the dollar value of the program? That's what it's important for us to know that information. You're muted now. Can't hear you.
There we go. I'm sorry. I've Zoomed and Microsoft Teams to death today. So it's Tuesday after the holiday, and it's been a long day. I had a couple ad hoc meetings. Sorry, I'm the king of mute today, evidently. Are you referencing the entire program over the 5-year period? I'd have to grab that number.
Maybe the 5-year period, just annually, how big, just how big is this, a bread basket,
Well,
larger?
we're just to give you kind of some perspective, we've borrowed over $8 million to spread out over a 5-year period for the upgrade. So based on an increasing number of participants over that 5-year period, through that attrition, through that 5-year period, we look to serve more and more homes. And I can get you those specific numbers, and I can pull some slides from the stakeholder meetings from the initial. Andrea can probably pull them up. I've got them fairly handy. I can share my screen real quick, but I've had so many, I've been in the weeds so much with the program that some of the figures that, like, on top of my head, we're going to do this amount of homes in year 2, the year 3, year 4. We've got some targets and we've got some minimums just to kind of bring it into perspective. We've got a minimum of, over a rolling period of time with our third-party implementer, we have to have at least 41 leads a month. There has to be at least 41 people calling in saying, I want to look about the program. Doesn't mean they take it. It doesn't mean that the easy plan works out for them. It doesn't mean that we're deploying on every single one of those, but there's a good opportunity there for us to we're doing a robust amount of member segmentation. We've got specific places and membership demographics that we want to market to, that we think the program they will benefit from it. We want to make sure that they know about it and have the opportunity to engage with it, that they're not scared to engage, and they know that it's available to them. It's available if they're a tenant. It's available to them if they're a homeowner. There's benefit all the way around. There's benefit to all that, but I can get you some specifics after if you want to. I can shoot you some information on what the 5-year plan looks like, the number of homes, the number of dollars. It really depends on what the scope is. So we think a lot of the scopes of work based on other utilities that we've talked to will involve a larger scope that would include a heat pump replacement or an equipment replacement. We're not doing any fuel switching. We're not doing anything like that. We will replace a furnace if it's bad. We will replace it back if it's gas or it's oil. We're not doing any fuel switching. We're not going to jump into that realm, if you will, right first off. But if we're doing a heat pump retrofit, there, other utilities that we've talked to say 85% or more of the projects are in that upper end of that scope of work. So if you were to compound that over the number of homes we're doing, you could get kind of an overall picture that, if you're looking at a scope that's in today's market with the supply chain like it is and today's pricing, job scopes are going to easily be in that higher realm.
Go ahead, fight it.
So,
And for the contractors who are part of the program, what's your pay? Is it 30 days after you bill, or is it, how do you guys actually pay your contractors?
I could dive into the program manual and give you that, but it's a very short turnaround time. I've got a quick workflow. I can't share it because it's not complete and it's got too many references in it that aren't vividly right or upgrades that don't say the right thing. But I can certainly. It's a quick turnaround. Usually within 10 days, we're cutting payment right on back around. So it's a quick turnaround past.
The smaller contractors need to get paid fairly quickly. 15
yeah. Yeah, it's not a slow turnaround. You're not looking at a 30 to 60 day turnaround on work. I mean, the QC is done. The trade ally turns in their final paperwork and uploads that through the system. They have to be comfortable and willing to use the portals and things that are provided for the program. It gets QC'd by me and our implementer, and as soon as it's straight and ready to go, our AP is cutting a check. So we're doing it. We're handling our loan is on the reimbursement level. So it's not a allocation type loan. We're taking draws as we need it, and we're paying the contractors in a very timely manner.
Thank you.
Great question, Mark. I loved it.
And I'm digging in there. I'm going to find it for you. I'm skimming, but I don't want to turn my attention away from the meeting. But I'm going down through the program manual because it is in here, and I was going to give you that time frame.
Well, you can come back. This is your last question, Louis, and then we will let you go.
It's okay. It's quite all right.
And it's going to be fast. This one's going to be a really quick one. And thank you so much for joining us here. And I know it was a quick turnaround for you with being able to accommodate the schedule. So I really appreciate it. And as Andrea said, staying a little bit over to answer all of our questions. But as you can see, we've got so many people here that are interested in this program. and very interested in actively getting more vendors and contractors to become a part of this program. So is there still, and I think you said this, it's a two-part question, is there still an opportunity to be a part of that initial training if we were able to get folks to submit express their interest, they can still get in that initial?
Absolutely, yes, yes, and yes. I don't how many flavors of yes I can tell you, but there's that is a definite yes. If you can, if you guys are ready to provide, and you've had some time to network within within your contractors that you outreach to, and they say, hey, I'd love to sit through it. Absolutely, it's coming soon. We're planning to do it already, but we haven't seen as much interest that we would like to see, and any additional contractors that are willing to sit through the first orientation would be welcome. It's not an issue. I would like to roll that out very soon because we're getting really close to launch, and I want to have enough time to have some time to negotiate the business contracts, between REC and the trade ally pricing and stuff like that. So if we have to, the more the merrier there, because obviously some may say yes, and some may be like, I need to think about that a little bit. Maybe I'll come back in later on. Well, just thank you for taking my information, but maybe I'd like to, it doesn't fit quite yet. Maybe they need to ramp up their staff, or maybe they need to look at their current outlay and see if they can accommodate a program like that. So,
and then the part B of my question is, you had talked about your marketing department is going really crazy and trying to develop these more information materials. Would you be able to kind of give it to us the moment you get those materials so we
Absolutely.
can get it out to our folks,
Right.
and
Absolutely.
get a lot more people interested in signing up?
I've got your email address, and as fast as it can get there in a zip folder or a PDF format and some attachment, however you can get it. And if I need to, we can, if we're at a point where we're printing them, I can see about getting you a box of flyers or anything like that as fast as possible.
That'll be great. Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, and what I'm going to do is close the poll now, and I'm going to share the results. So as you can see, Lewis, we've got HVAC folks, weatherization is what most people are interested, and then electrical installation, energy audit. Half of the people, their businesses are in REC territory. Well, 2 of the 4 are not. Some of our folks are recommenders. They aren't contractors themselves. And it looks like just with the contractors that are here tonight, hope everybody's willing to handle Caroline, Goochland, and Hanover. And we've got people willing to travel pretty much everywhere in REC territory.
That's good stuff. That's what we want to see, and we definitely need weatherization and HVAC contractors. So that's a big one. Yeah, that's pretty good results, and we're ready for it. So the more the merrier on the orientation upcoming, and I'll be sending out an invite for that very soon. Like I said, I'm finishing developing that with our implementer as we speak, and I'm pretty much all things vividly brighter right now. So.
Lewis, I really got to thank you for your enthusiasm, for your willingness to be very, very thorough and complete in answering our questions. For the folks who joined us tonight, thank you so much for joining us. Great questions. And as we all said when we were pushing this out, a tremendous opportunity, because REC is a premier rural electric cooperative. As I said earlier, they are the 3rd largest in the United States at 170,000 customers with 140,000 residential customers. So it looks as though the program launch is going to be around not quite 500 residences in the first year. That looks to be the ceiling. We were hoping for 1,500, but hey, you've got to start somewhere. So, Louis, thank you so very much. We did record this. So for those of you who may need to share it with other people in your network, I will get the link to Karen. It'll probably take about 15, 20 minutes for the recording to finish and produce something shareable.
Sounds
So
good, Andrea.
Karen,
We thank you. I thank you for inviting us. I'm sorry that Joyce couldn't make it tonight. She had a family commitment and she's expecting very soon as well. So she's got a lot going on right now as well, and at the family level. But she wanted to be here, and I just told her that I said I was going to be here regardless. So she was like, "Oh, you got this anyway, Louis. This is your
yes.
wheelhouse." So we thank you. And I was going to say earlier when we were talking about contractors outside of REC territory, I'm the same way. If they're in Northern Virginia and they've got to come down south, it might be a little bit harder for them. That seems to be a hard ask. But if I was in the greater Richmond area and I could slide 35 minutes up 95 with no traffic and not have to go across town and go through 25 stoplights to get to the West End to do a job, for somebody that's probably gonna that I'll probably be back 2 or 3 times for anyway, because they'll want to add this and do that and change this and change that. To go for a program that you know exactly what you're going to do pretty much when you get there, and you don't have to deal with the traffic and you can just deploy. I think that's definitely an added advantage for sure. I know I was in contracting for over 20 years for a local HVAC contractor in Caroline County, and I ran the business for the last 10 years. And I can assure you, I didn't mind letting the boots hit the street and make a little truck ride to go do a job if it was worth our while. That's for sure.
Louis,
and heading up north, it's pretty country up here. Go ahead, Richard.
It is nice.
Louis, can I ask just one quick more question?
Sure.
Does either Project Homes or LEAP have any stake in this?
LEAP is interested in participating. They've expressed some interest in participating, and I'll be full disclosure. I am the board chair for that organization. So it is full disclosure, but it was not prompted that way. I mean, they've expressed interest back when they were in the stakeholder process as well. So this is a known interest of theirs. And just to give you some background without diving too much in the weeds, I've talked to Project Homes. We haven't got, I do not expect those agencies to play ball with this program. It is aligned completely different than the low income programs that they have to mesh and braid in. And some of them may have the bandwidth to do it. But those of you that you know Carrie Walker pretty well. You've spoke with her. I know Carrie very well. I've had candid conversations with her. They're just not at a point where they're ready to deal with this program. They've got 13 other funding streams that they have to manage, and in a specific territory, they're at their capacity. And I don't expect the CHPs in the Project Homes to come to the table initially on this. We haven't gotten any interest from them whatsoever, and they know about the program just like everybody else does.
And that's why I chimed in regarding that, because
Sure.
my organization, in our way of going back at Dominion, we reached out to Project Homes to help with those residents out there in Union Hill, Buckingham County. And they utilize only one contractor to service 11 homes, of which it's been a 2-year, 3-year process. And that's why I'm really intent on REC believing that they're going to step it up beyond that. Some folk didn't even get service from Project Homes.
Well, the landscape in that program, as you know, Richard, is quite a bit different. It's a prescriptive program, but it's got a lot of red tape with it, and they've got a lot of processes and hoops that they need to jump through. And unfortunately, it does seem like the work doesn't get executed timely. It doesn't. We've got members. I cannot wait, to launch this program. We've got members that have been waiting on federal weatherization work for over 2 years that are in the southeastern part of our territory under another agency. So, I mean, that's what I'm ready to serve those members that have been waiting. And yeah, they're going to have to put essentially some skin in the game where they, so it may work out for some and it may not work out for others. But it gives them a pathway to make a choice now. They can move forward with energy efficiency measures in our program, or they can continue to wait for those services that they've been. I mean, some of them take long enough to where they have to requalify again because the income qualification has changed from the time that they submitted the application. So ODEC has a small pilot program with and adds some dollars within REC territory, or all the co-ops, actually all the family of co-ops that touch those areas. And it's a small amount, but it gives them the opportunity to use that small amount of money any way they want to plug it in, whether it's paying for the initial audit, whether it's paying for certain measures, whatever it is. If it's more and it's a health and safety item and it's hinging on a deferral, that's great. But I think there's a lot going on right now in that space with the infrastructure bill and how that's going to look and what that's going to come out with. They've got some that's going to kind of push them in the corner essentially with some additional EE improvement money that they may not be able to spend if the WDR funds go away and Virginia ends up pulling out of Reggie. So if that happens, it's going to change the landscape ever more. I mean, they're already executing those jobs and going back on the ones that were deferred because there's no such thing as a deferral anymore with the WDR funds. But I just think there's so much going on with that, and that's a really complex system. And it operates quite a bit differently than what this program is going to do. And that's why I don't initially see them coming. I'm not saying that they won't have interest at some point, but we haven't gotten, I will tell you, it's been weeks since we sent that push out, and they were part of the stakeholder group, and there has been no response from them whatsoever about participating with this program. Because I just don't really think, this is my opinion only, and I may be incorrect in saying it, but it just doesn't quite align with that territorial low income. I'm going to use this money. I'm going to take this Dominion money. I'm going to take this APCO money, and I'm going to braid it in and mesh it with weatherization. It's a little bit different program, and the fact that it's income agnostic kind of makes it a little bit different too for them. It's territory that they haven't quite delved into.
Well, I'm going to offer testimony in the General Assembly that going back to you guys, that you will be inclusive of removing gas tanks, propane tanks, and providing all electric.
It would be great. Electrification is a good thing.
I will offer testimony when that bill comes back up in the General Assembly.
Yeah. The nice thing, I don't know if you guys are aware of it, I know we're probably going over a little bit, and this is just some bonus discussion, but the WDR funds they got creative with a little bit of fuel switching. So if let's say there was a fossil fuel furnace that was the reason for the deferral, and it was a faulty furnace, they actually would allow that to be changed to a safe appliance, which is generally speaking would be an electrified appliance. So generally going from fossil fuel to a heat pump. And I think we can look at fuel switching with this program a little bit more if the legislation changes and goes away from deemed electric savings and looks more at deemed energy savings as a whole. And I think that's the key ingredient for this particular bill, opening the door for on-bill tariff. It needs to be expanded to deemed energy savings, not just electrical savings. I think we would like to see that come in the future. And I think something will happen, in the short term on that, I would say less than 3 years, I would hope.
Andrea, could I just ask you real quick, is it best that we wait to get the information from the rec before I disseminate to a wide audience? Because there's certain information he says he doesn't have now. So do I want to wait until I get something back from you? Would that be probably the better path so we can give people some more comprehensive information?
Sure, I can shoot you some program outlay stuff that we discussed in the stakeholder meetings. It'll be information that we've already discussed. The program outlay itself and the targets really haven't changed. The only thing that will change on the initial rollout would be just the constraints that we know will be there if we've got some pockets of the territory that we can't serve yet because of lack of contractor network, and those are the areas that will be continuing to recruit even harder, and then continuing to obviously build up the areas that we already would be serving, post initial launch. So I'll be glad to send you some information. If you put your email, if I can get with Karen and probably get your contact information tomorrow. I'll talk to her in the morning, and I'll shoot you some information that might help you talk about the program on your end.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and thanks, Mark, for that question. And again, based on the people who were here and potentially some of the new people that will be coming in, it looks like Caroline and Hanover will also be areas for you to consider, because you're going to have people willing to work in those areas, because you've got a number of contractors coming out of Richmond and Caroline, Hanover. We are like, right when you go across that Richmond border, you're in Hanover.
That's
Yep.
good stuff. That's what we want to hear.
Yeah, and I live in Caroline, so I'm delighted.
I do as well.
Do you play golf?
I don't. I fish. So therefore, if it's nice enough to play golf, it's more than nice enough to go fishing. So that's kind of how that works for me. I'm an outdoorsman, but I love to bass fish. That's my thing.
All right. Well, everybody, again, thank you so very much for joining us. It was a wonderful meeting. Louis, thank you so very much for all the information you provided. And so now let's go out and let's create some work for our wonderful minority contractors all throughout Virginia.
Great.